Hey guys, today we step into a moment that could feel like a line in the sand. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror, the reflection staring back at you feeling strangely familiar, yet frustratingly distant. The same habits etched into your days, the same excuses you've whispered to yourself, the same sense that time is slipping through your fingers, while nothing truly changes. You catch yourself laughing at jokes you don't really find funny, scrolling on your phone, while a voice in your chest keeps saying, "You're meant for more than this." That voice is the crack in the wall, the opening that tells you you're not stuck forever. The truth? The life you want isn't waiting on luck. It's waiting on a decision, and not a flimsy decision that dissolves when you feel tired, but a full-bodied declaration that you're done being the same every day. This isn't about hype. This is about ignition, the kind that can light up your entire identity. The first step is brutal honesty. You strip away every polite explanation and ask yourself questions that sting. Am I proud of how I've been living? Am I proud of the way I spend my mornings, my evenings, my energy? Am I proud of how I treat my body, my time, my relationships? If those questions hit with a weight that makes you want to look away, good. That's the pressure that cracks denial. Most people delay this moment by covering it up with busyness, scrolling endlessly, stacking obligations, pretending that someday they'll get serious. But someday is a lie. Someday is a thief. You don't need another calendar app or another surge of motivation. You need the clarity that comes when staying the same is more painful than changing. Imagine this. You're sitting in traffic on the same route you've driven 1,000 times. The same buildings slide past. The same radio station murmurs in the background. Nothing terrible. Nothing dramatic. Just monotony stretched so thin it becomes invisible. And then a thought surfaces. Is this it? Is this the rhythm I want to repeat for the rest of my life? That question is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the truth. You've been tolerating average. Average mornings, where you hit snooze. Average evenings where you promise tomorrow will be different. Average conversations where you smile while your heart feels restless. To step beyond average, you must declare it finished. A real decision has weight. It pulls you forward like gravity. Think about the times in history when a person burned the ships behind them, literally or metaphorically, so retreat wasn't an option. That's the energy you need now, because most of the time you've told yourself you'd change. You left the back door open. You said, "I'll try." You said, "Maybe next week." You hoped inspiration would strike, but inspiration is fickle. Decision is permanent. It doesn't ask if you feel like it. It commands your feet to move even when your mood screams otherwise. So how do you know when you've truly decided? Look at your actions. If the old you would have pressed snooze, the new you gets up while it's still dark. If the old you scrolled through feeds, the new you opens a notebook and writes down what must change. If the old you waited for motivation, the new you starts moving and lets momentum create the motivation. One day of difference may seem small, but it's proof that you're cutting ties with the identity that's been dragging you down. Here's the psychology behind it. Your brain runs on patterns. The subconscious doesn't care if those patterns serve you or sabotage you. It just repeats what you've practiced. That's why change feels impossible at first. You're literally rewiring circuits. But here's the secret. Your brain also responds to urgency. When you create a non-negotiable decision, when you refuse to say, "later," your subconscious begins searching for evidence to support the new identity. Every small win becomes a signal. See, We're not that old person anymore. That's why the first decision matters more than perfect planning. Maybe you've reached the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. Tired of pretending to be satisfied. Tired of telling people you're fine. Tired of carrying potential like a weight instead of a weapon. That kind of fatigue is powerful. It can push you into clarity. Clarity that says, I'm done being the understudy in my own life. The moment you stop pretending, you uncover the raw courage to start. And starting doesn't mean overhauling everything overnight. It means doing the next honest thing. It means choosing better today, not waiting for the conditions to feel perfect. Picture two versions of yourself. One keeps replaying the same day, finding comfort in routine, but always aching for more. The other feels sharper, stands taller, makes choices that cut through distraction like a blade. The difference between those two versions isn't luck or talent. It's the decision to stop negotiating with weakness. Weakness will always bargain with you. Just one more excuse, just one more day of comfort, just one more promise, you'll start tomorrow. Strength doesn't argue. Strength gets up and moves. Understand this. Nobody can stop you from making that decision. Not your friends, not your family, not your doubts. People may not understand. They may question why you're acting differently, but they don't control the switch inside you. That's yours alone. And when you flip it, when you truly decide, everything else aligns. Discipline stops being a punishment and becomes proof of who you are. Consistency stops being drudgery and becomes identity. Think about the times you've been fed up. Maybe it was a relationship you knew was wrong, a job that drained your soul, a habit that left you hollow. At some point you said, enough. That word carried a force stronger than comfort. And once you said it, things started shifting. That's what this moment can be for you. A declaration that enough is enough. Now let's get practical. Tonight, before you go to bed, write one sentence in bold letters. I am done being the same every day. Place it where you'll see it the moment you wake. Then, tomorrow morning, prove it. Not with talk, but with action. Do the opposite of what your old self would do. If your old self checked messages first thing, your new self goes for a walk or reads something that elevates your mind. If your old self delayed difficult tasks, your new self tackles the hardest thing first. Each opposite action is a strike against the old pattern. Here's a vivid image to hold. Imagine stepping into a room filled with versions of yourself from the past 5 years. Each one looks familiar, but each one also reminds you of the goals you whispered and never finished. Would you want to stay with them forever? Or would you feel an urgency to break free and become someone new? That urgency is what fuels this first step. You're not waiting for motivation. You're creating it by movement. You're not looking for approval. You're proving to yourself that you can be trusted. You're not making a wish. You're making a vow. And every vow is sealed by what you do when no one is watching. The quiet moments matter most. When you choose discipline in silence, when you choose growth over comfort, when you choose honesty over excuses, you're etching a new identity into your life. And here's the paradox. Change feels hardest right before it becomes natural. The first early morning feels brutal. The first no to a temptation feels awkward. The first honest self-assessment feels like standing under harsh light. But give it days, just days, and what once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. That's the power of a decision. It rewrites your sense of normal. So as you listen right now, breathe deeply. Feel the weight of every excuse you've carried. Feel how heavy it is to postpone your own potential. Then let it drop. Decide that today marks the end of repeating yesterday. Decide that you will no longer live on autopilot. Decide that your future is too important to leave in the hands of comfort. And remember, you don't need to broadcast this decision. You don't need to post it online. You don't need applause. The most powerful commitments are the quiet ones you whisper to yourself before anyone else knows. Because when you prove it in private, the results eventually roar in public. You're not just deciding to change habits. You're deciding to become unrecognizable to the person you were yesterday. You're deciding to step into a life where your energy, your choices, your discipline radiate a different frequency. People may ask, why are you so different? Let them. The answer isn't in your words, it's in your transformation. This is where the journey begins. With one powerful decision, one refusal to repeat the same day again. One moment where you stop saying someday and start saying today. That's how the new version of you is born, not through chance, but through choice. And that choice is waiting for you right now. You already know the habit, the one that creeps into your days quietly, pretending to be harmless. It might be reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, losing an hour before you've even started. It might be telling yourself, I'll do it later, until the sun sets and nothing is done. It might be pouring another drink when you said you wouldn't, skipping another workout, biting your nails, eating food that leaves you sluggish, or scrolling endlessly until your eyes ache. The details vary, but the pattern is always the same. This habit steals your energy, drains your focus, and anchors you to the version of yourself you're trying to escape. And yet, you've protected it. You've told yourself it's not that serious. You've said, everyone does it, or I'll fix it eventually. But eventually is another lie. Eventually is the reason weeks blur into months, months into years, and suddenly you're still carrying the same frustrations, still replaying the same loops. Change doesn't demand you fix everything at once. Change demands you identify one weak link in your chain and break it with force. Think about it like a dam holding back a flood. One crack is all it takes to let the water rush through. Breaking one destructive habit creates momentum that makes other changes possible. This isn't about rearranging your entire life overnight. It's about cutting off the lifeline of one habit that's been bleeding you dry. So let's confront the truth. You know which habit it is. You don't need a self-help book to tell you. It's the one you hide from others. The one you excuse with, I deserve this, or it's not that bad. The one that pops up whenever you're stressed, bored, or tired. The one you've let become part of your identity. But here's the key. You're not eliminating it because you hate yourself. You're eliminating it because you respect yourself enough to stop tolerating what keeps you stuck. Why does it feel so hard to break? Because habits run on a cycle. Trigger, action, reward. You feel the urge. You perform the routine. You get a short-term hit of comfort. Your brain learns to crave the reward, even when it's sabotaging your long-term growth. That's why you keep going back. Not because you're weak, but because you've trained your brain to expect relief from the very thing that drains you. The way out is simple, not easy. Interrupt the cycle. The next time the trigger shows up, you say, not this time. Instead of repeating the action, you replace it. You swap scrolling for writing a single thought in a journal. You swap procrastination for doing the smallest step of the task. You swap junk food for a glass of water. The reward shifts, not instant pleasure, but pride. Pride that you broke the cycle, even once. And pride is addictive too. Here's a practical step you can take today. Grab a notebook and write down the habit in plain words. No sugarcoating. If it's procrastination, write, "I waste hours avoiding what matters." If it's late-night snacking, write, "I eat when I'm not hungry." If it's doom scrolling, write, "I trade my attention for noise." Seeing it on paper removes the illusion. Then, underneath it, write the cost. How much time has this stolen? How many opportunities slipped past because of it? How often has it left you disappointed in yourself? Don't let your brain minimize it anymore. Then, set one rule. Today this habit ends, not tomorrow, not next week, today. That's the urgency you've been missing. Tell yourself, this version of me dies today. When the urge comes, expect it to feel uncomfortable. That's proof the habit is losing its grip. Don't fight the urge with willpower alone. Replace it with an action that strengthens you. If procrastination calls, open the project and spend just 5 minutes. If scrolling calls, set your phone in another room and move your body. If comfort food calls, remind yourself of your vision and fuel your body with something cleaner. The first day is about interruption, not perfection. You don't need to be flawless. You just need to prove you can choose differently. Missing once isn't failure. Quitting is. And every time you resist, even for a moment, you carve a new path in your brain. That's neuroplasticity at work. The more you walk the new path, the stronger it gets, the weaker the old one becomes. Here's the deeper truth. Breaking this one habit isn't about the habit itself. It's about proving you're capable of change. Once you see yourself follow through, your self-respect grows. You start to believe, if I can do this, what else can I conquer? That belief spreads into every corner of your life. Let's make it visceral. Imagine your future self walking into the room. They're sharper, more disciplined, more alive. They look at you with quiet confidence, not because they're perfect, but because they don't tolerate what drains them. That person didn't arrive by accident. They started with this exact moment. The day they broke one habit they'd been excusing for too long. If you want to feel unstoppable, start here. Not by stacking new goals, but by removing the anchor. That anchor has been holding you in place while you've convinced yourself you're moving. Cut it off, and you'll feel the acceleration immediately. Energy returns, clarity sharpens, confidence grows. And when people around you notice something different, they won't know it started with something as small as saying no to a habit you once ignored. So ask yourself right now, what's the habit I've been pretending isn't destroying me? Don't justify it. Don't minimize it. Name it. And then cut it off like your future depends on it. Because it does. This is the discipline that separates the person who dreams from the person who transforms. This is where excuses die and progress begins. And if you can do it today, you've already proven that the old you is gone. Fear is sneaky. It rarely screams in your face. Instead, it whispers. It nudges you to shrink back when opportunity knocks, to stay quiet when your voice matters, to step aside when you're meant to step forward. You know the feeling. Your heart races. Your palms sweat. Your mind invents excuses dressed as logic. I'm not ready. What if I fail? What will people think? And just like that, another chance passes you by. The tragedy is not that fear exists. The tragedy is how many lives it silently directs, how many futures it quietly erases. But here's the truth. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal, a glowing arrow pointing exactly where your growth is waiting. The moments that scare you most, the presentation, the hard conversation, the bold move, the risk you've been circling for months, those are the doorways to the unrecognizable version of you. If you want to shed the old identity, you have to stop running from what makes you uncomfortable and start walking straight into it. Think about the patterns of your life. How many times did you delay because fear convinced you to wait until you felt ready? But readiness is an illusion. No one ever feels completely prepared for the leap that transforms them. The athletes, the leaders, the creators, the entrepreneurs who built something extraordinary, all moved before they were ready. Their hands shook, their voices cracked, their hearts thundered, and they acted anyway. That's why they grew. That's why they changed. That's why they broke free of the cycle of average. You may believe you need confidence before you move, but confidence is not the seed. It's the fruit. Action is the seed. You don't earn courage by thinking about it. You earn it by doing the thing that terrifies you and realizing you survived. The first time feels unbearable. The second time feels awkward. The third time feels possible. And by the 10th time, you're the kind of person who does hard things naturally. Fear is like a shadow. It grows bigger the longer you avoid it. Every time you dodge it, it embeds itself deeper into your identity. You start saying, "That's just the way I am." But that's not the way you are. That's the way you've trained yourself to be. And the training can be undone. So, let's get specific. What is one thing you've been avoiding out of fear? Maybe it's applying for a job that intimidates you. Maybe it's telling the truth in a relationship. Maybe it's walking into the gym for the first time in years. Maybe it's starting the project you've only ever talked about. Write it down. Don't write 10 things. Write one. And then make yourself a promise. Before this day ends, I will face this. Not tomorrow. Not when I feel brave. Today. Because courage is built in the moment of action, not in the planning of it. Imagine this. You walk into a room where your future self is standing. This version of you has already done the things you've been scared of. They speak with steady conviction. They carry themselves with quiet certainty. They no longer flinch at challenges. Do you think they got that way by waiting until they felt ready? No. They earned it by sweating through the discomfort, by moving even when doubt screamed, by proving to themselves that fear wasn't fatal. And that's the paradox. Fear feels like it will break you, but moving through it is what makes you. Every shaky step you take builds an internal foundation that no one can take from you. You can lose money, you can lose status, you can lose approval. But once you've built courage through action, it stays in your bones. It becomes part of your identity. Here's a practical drill. The next time fear shows up, don't argue with it. Don't bargain with it. Just name it out loud. This is fear. Then follow with, but fear does not decide my future. Then take the smallest possible step toward the thing you're afraid of. If you fear rejection, send one message. If you fear starting a project, outline one page. If you fear speaking, say one sentence. Tiny steps in the face of fear build unstoppable momentum. Think about it. How much of your life has already been shaped by the opportunities you didn't take? The conversations you avoided, the moments you froze. Now imagine the alternate life, the one where you leaned in instead, the one where you applied, spoke up, stood tall, pressed send, took the leap. That alternate life is still available, and it begins with a single act of bravery. Understand this. Bravery doesn't feel good in the moment. It feels messy. Your heart pounds, your voice trembles, your stomach knots. That's the point. That discomfort is proof you're stretching into a larger version of yourself. Easy things don't change you. Comfortable choices don't create breakthroughs. Fear is the gym where courage is built. Each repetition makes you stronger. Don't wait for disaster to force you into bravery. Most people only change when they hit rock bottom, when the pain of staying the same finally outweighs the fear of changing. But you don't have to collapse before you rise. You can choose discomfort now, voluntarily. You can walk into the fire while you still have strength. That's what separates those who transform quickly from those who drift for decades. Picture this clearly. Fear is not a wall. It's a curtain. It looks solid until you touch it. Then you realize you can push through. Behind it is the life you've been craving, the version of you you've dreamed of. But you'll never see it if you keep standing on this side, staring at the curtain. At some point, you must move. So today, don't just think about what scares you. Do it. Pick one thing, however small, and do it before the day ends. Make the call. Say the truth. Take the step. Sign up. Speak up. Move. And when your old self whispers, "But what if you fail?" answer it with a new truth. What if I succeed? What if this one act changes everything? Fear is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your transformation. Step into it. Let it shape you. Let it break the shell of who you were. And soon, you'll look back and realize the person who trembled at those fears no longer exists. You've outgrown them. You've become unrecognizable. The words you say to yourself when no one else is listening shape more of your life than any external circumstance ever could. It's easy to look polished in public. It's easy to post inspiring quotes online, to smile at friends, to sound motivated when people ask how you're doing. But when you're alone, in the quiet, when it's just you and your thoughts, that's where the real battle is fought. Your inner dialogue is either your prison or your fuel. Think about the way you've spoken to yourself after a mistake. Did you encourage yourself, or did you attack yourself? Did you say, "I can fix this"? Or did you mutter, "I always screw things up"? Over time, those whispers become identity. You repeat them so often that they stop sounding like opinions and start sounding like facts. That's how self-doubt cements itself into your bones. Not because life decreed it, but because your own words built it. You can't build a powerful life while tearing yourself down in silence. You can't become a stronger person while calling yourself weak every time you falter. This is where many people lose. They don't fail because of a lack of skill or opportunity. They fail because they're constantly sabotaged by their own inner critic. And here's the raw truth. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, you'd have no friends left. So it's time to change the script. This isn't about fake positivity. It's not about chanting empty affirmations you don't believe. It's about telling yourself the truth with a tone that builds rather than destroys. There's a difference between honesty and cruelty. Honesty says, "You messed up, but you can fix it." Cruelty says, "You always fail. Why even try?" Which one do you think creates growth? Which one fuels discipline instead of draining it? Let's get real. You can't always control the thoughts that pop into your mind. Old beliefs will still show up. Doubts will still knock. But you do control which thoughts you entertain. You decide which ones stay and which ones get evicted. And every time you replace a destructive thought with a constructive one, you rewire your mental foundation. Here's a practical shift. The next time you catch yourself spiraling, "I can't handle this. I'm not good enough," interrupt it. Literally say, "Stop" out loud. Then replace it with something grounded but empowering. "This is hard, but I've done hard things before. I can handle this." You're not lying to yourself. You're reminding yourself of the truth you've ignored. That small act of reframing builds resilience like compound interest. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of saying, "I'm tired, I can't do this," you say, "I may be tired, but I'm still moving forward." That shift doesn't erase the fatigue, but it changes your relationship with it. You're no longer a victim of your state. You're the director of it. This is why elite athletes, leaders, and high performers obsess over self-talk. They know the game is won or lost in their head before it's ever fought on the field. The words you feed yourself are instructions for your subconscious. Tell yourself you're weak, and your body follows. Tell yourself you're learning, and your mind looks for solutions. Think about your own past. How many times did you quit because you convinced yourself you couldn't go on? Was it really ability that failed you, or was it the voice inside your head? Now flip that question. How many times did you surprise yourself with strength when you decided, even for a moment, "I can do this"? That wasn't magic. That was the power of language guiding your state. Here's a drill. Write down 3 destructive sentences you often tell yourself. Be brutally honest. Then, beside each one, write a replacement sentence that's both true and empowering. Example: "I'm lazy" becomes "I'm capable of discipline, and today I prove it." "I always fail" becomes "Every failure is data, and I use it to win." "I don't belong here" becomes "I'm learning to grow into this space." Keep this list visible. Read it when you're slipping. Speak it out loud. You'll feel awkward at first, but awkwardness is just the growing pains of rewiring. Remember, the tone matters. If a coach screamed insults at you daily, would you grow stronger or weaker? If that coach pushed you hard but believed in you, would you rise? You're your own coach. Stop playing the role of your own bully. Start playing the role of the mentor who refuses to let you stay small. Over time, these shifts accumulate. You stop calling yourself names. You stop predicting failure before it happens. You start believing in your ability to adapt, to improve, to overcome. That belief doesn't make the road easy, but it makes the road possible. And possibility is all you need to keep moving. Visualize it. The old you sits slumped, muttering excuses, drowning in self-criticism. The new you stands straighter, speaking words that sharpen resolve, eyes forward, energy steady. That shift is visible not just to you, but to everyone around you. They'll feel the difference without you saying a word, because energy leaks through tone. When you respect yourself in private, it radiates in public. You don't need to be perfect to change. You don't need flawless discipline or endless motivation. You need alignment between what you say to yourself and what you want for yourself. That alignment turns fragile effort into lasting transformation. So from now on, treat your self-talk like a sacred space. No poison allowed, no constant ridicule, only language that tells the truth in a way that builds. Say, "I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm getting closer." Say, "This is tough, but I'm tougher." Say, I'm worth the effort I'm giving. These are not empty lines, they're foundations. And when you falter, and you will, remember this. A setback doesn't erase progress. It doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're human. The difference between staying stuck and moving forward is the story you tell yourself in that moment. Choose a story that empowers, not one that chains you. In the end, your outer world can only rise as high as your inner language. You can't build a new life with a voice that keeps dragging you back to the old one. Upgrade the voice, and the rest will follow. There's a moment in every person's life when the weight of too many yeses begins to crush them. You've felt it before. The endless obligations, the crowded calendar, the constant sense that you're pulled in every direction except the one you actually want to go. At first, saying yes feels noble. It feels generous. It feels like the right thing to do. But over time, the pattern reveals itself. Every yes you give to others becomes a no to yourself. And if you've been wondering why you feel drained, scattered, or quietly resentful, this is the reason. You've been giving away your time and your energy without protecting them. Here's the truth you've been avoiding. Saying yes to everything is not kindness. It's self-sabotage. It's a way of hiding from your own priorities by drowning in other people's demands. You've been trained to believe that saying no makes you selfish, that declining makes you weak, that protecting your time makes you rude. But the reality is far different. Saying no is strength. Saying no is clarity. Saying no is self-respect in action. Look at your life honestly. How many commitments are on your plate right now that don't actually serve you? The coworker you agreed to help, even though it added hours of stress to your day. The social events you attend, even though you come home more exhausted than when you left. The family obligations you say yes to out of guilt, even though they cost you precious energy. Each one feels small on its own, but together they form a prison. And the lock on that prison isn't held by others. It's held by your inability to say no. This shift begins with a realization. Every yes has a cost. When you agree to something, you're spending time and energy that can never be recovered. That hour of your life is gone forever. So the question is not, am I capable of doing this? The question is this worth trading my life for? Here's the uncomfortable part. Not everyone will applaud your boundaries. Some people are used to you being endlessly available. Some people benefit from your lack of limits. When you start saying no, they may push back. They may try to guilt you. They may call you selfish. But that's not a sign you're wrong. It's a sign you're finally changing. Growth always disrupts the comfort of others. And you must decide whose comfort matters more, theirs or yours. Imagine you're holding a bucket of water. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your purpose, a cup is taken out. Eventually, your bucket runs dry, and when it's empty, you have nothing left to give. Not to yourself, not to your dreams, not even to the people you were trying to help. But when you learn to guard your water, when you refuse to let everyone dip their hands in, suddenly you can pour into what matters most. You can invest in growth, in rest, in purpose. That's not selfish. That's sustainable. Here's a practical exercise. For 1 week, track every single commitment you agree to, every yes you give. Write it down. Then ask yourself 2 questions. Did this serve my long-term vision? Did this energize me or drain me? You'll see the truth in black and white. Most of your yeses are not aligned with your future. They're aligned with your fear of letting people down. That fear has been running your life, and it's time to take the keys back. Start small. Practice saying no in situations that feel manageable. If someone asks for your time and you know it's not right, say, "I can't commit to that right now." You don't need a long excuse. You don't need to justify yourself with paragraphs of explanation. Clarity is enough. Your no is enough. Over time, this muscle strengthens, and you realize something powerful. People respect boundaries more than they respect endless availability. And yes, some will drift away. Some will get upset. That's part of the cost of transformation. But ask yourself, do you really want to build your future around people who only value you when you sacrifice yourself? True supporters won't disappear when you draw a line. They'll admire your strength and respect your priorities. Think about the energy shift this brings. When you start saying no to what drains you, you suddenly have time to say yes to what builds you. You can finally invest in the project you've been delaying. You can rest without guilt. You can work on your health with full focus. You can spend time with people who uplift you instead of people who deplete you. Your life starts aligning with your vision because your yeses are finally deliberate. Here's the bigger picture. Every no to distraction is a yes to transformation. Every no to obligation is a yes to discipline. Every no to guilt is a yes to freedom. That's how you take your life back, piece by piece. That's how you shift from living in reaction to living with intention. Visualize this. You're walking down a hallway filled with doors. Each door represents an opportunity, a request, an obligation. You don't have the strength to open them all. If you try, you collapse. But if you walk with clarity, if you choose carefully, you open only the doors that lead you forward. And when you do, you realize the hallway is shorter than you thought. You arrive at your destination faster because you stopped wandering through rooms that didn't belong to you. This is the life you've been craving, a life that feels lighter, a life where your calendar matches your priorities, a life where your energy is invested in growth, not drained by guilt. And it begins with 2 letters, N-O. So practice it today. Protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. And when the guilt rises, when the fear of disappointing others tries to creep in, remind yourself, saying no isn't rejection, it's redirection. You're not abandoning people, you're choosing yourself. And in choosing yourself, you finally create the space to become unrecognizable. Pain. You carry it. Sometimes hidden so deep even those closest to you don't see it. Maybe you wear a smile while your chest feels heavy. Maybe you laugh at jokes while an ache simmers in the background. Maybe you push through your day like nothing's wrong, only to collapse into bed and feel it wash over you. Pain is universal. Every human being has felt loss, betrayal, failure, disappointment, grief. But what's not universal is what you do with it. For most people, pain becomes a wall. It stops them, freezes them, convinces them that life can't move forward. But there's another path, the path where pain becomes fuel, the very force that drives you further than comfort ever could. Think about the most resilient people you've ever heard of, the leaders who rose from nothing, the athletes who pushed past injury, the creators who turned rejection into masterpieces. None of them avoided pain. They carried it. But instead of letting it chain them, they forged it into a weapon. That's the opportunity in front of you right now. The first step is to stop running. Stop burying pain under endless distractions. Stop numbing it with food, drink, scrolling, or busyness. Stop pretending you're fine when your heart knows you're not. Pain doesn't go away because you ignore it. It goes underground and festers. You can't heal what you refuse to face. So breathe deep and face it. Admit the truth of what hurt you. Say it out loud if you need to. That honesty alone is power, because what you acknowledge, you can transform. Here's the shift. Instead of asking, "Why me?" start asking, "What now?" Why me keeps you stuck in circles, replaying the same story, building an identity out of wounds. What now propels you forward? It turns the hurt into a compass, pointing to what matters most. If betrayal taught you that trust is fragile, then use it to build relationships with more depth. If loss reminded you how short life is, let it sharpen your urgency. If failure burned, let it teach you the grit to rise sharper than before. Pain can either be your excuse or your engine. Most people choose excuse. They say, "I can't move forward because of what happened." But what if you flipped it? "I must move forward because of what happened." That one word changes everything. It turns pain into responsibility, responsibility into action, and action into transformation. Picture yourself holding a heavy stone. You didn't choose it. It was dropped into your hands through heartbreak, rejection, disappointment. If you just keep carrying it, it weighs you down until you're hunched, tired, bitter. But if you decide to use it, that stone becomes a building block. You place it in your foundation. You stack more on top, each one shaped by lessons. Over time, what was once a burden becomes the very ground you stand tall upon. This isn't poetic fluff. It's psychology. Pain activates focus. It grabs your attention like nothing else. That's why painful memories feel sharper than happy ones. They burned into you. You can harness that sharpness. Instead of replaying pain as a reason you can't, replay it as a reminder of why you must. Use it as leverage. Say, "I never want to feel that powerless again, so I'll train discipline until I'm unstoppable." Say, "I never want to waste another year, so I'll treat my time like it's sacred." Let the sting become a spark. Here's a practical way. Write down the 3 most painful experiences you've faced. Next to each, write what they cost you, but then also write what they revealed. Maybe heartbreak revealed your strength. Maybe failure revealed your persistence. Maybe loss revealed your capacity for love. Then, decide one action you'll take today to honor that lesson. That way, your pain isn't wasted, it becomes fuel. Of course, there will be days when the weight of pain threatens to paralyze you. On those days, the temptation will be to collapse back into old habits, to let numbness take over. But remember this, you've already survived the hardest parts. You lived through the moment that hurt most. That means you're stronger than you think. The pain didn't destroy you, it revealed you. And the fact that you're listening to this right now means you're still standing, still breathing, still capable of rebuilding. Picture your life like a forge. Pain is the fire. It feels unbearable, but it's shaping you. It's burning away what's weak, hardening what's strong. The longer you stay in the fire with purpose, the sharper you become. That's why some of the most powerful people are not the ones who had it easy, but the ones who suffered and refused to waste it. Here's another drill. The next time pain rises, don't push it away. Channel it. Go for a run. Lift something heavy. Pour it onto a page. Build something with your hands. Create something meaningful. Convert the emotion into movement. That alchemy is how pain stops being a prison and starts being power. Think about the alternative. If you don't transform it, pain calcifies into bitterness. Bitterness poisons your thoughts, your relationships, your opportunities. It makes you suspicious, resentful, closed. That's not who you are meant to be. You're not meant to live trapped inside old wounds. You're meant to rise with scars that tell a story of survival, of growth, of transformation. And here's the ultimate truth. You didn't choose the pain, but you get to choose what it becomes. It can be the reason you stop, or the reason you start. It can be the excuse you cling to, or the fire that sets you apart. Every time it resurfaces, you decide, do I let this break me again, or do I use it to build? Right now, commit. Say to yourself, this pain will not be wasted. This pain will fuel me. And then prove it. Not by pretending it doesn't hurt, but by moving forward anyway. Every step you take while carrying pain is proof of strength. Every action you complete while your chest still aches is victory. Every day you show up when you don't feel like it is transformation. That's how you stop feeling stuck. That's how you make your pain mean something real. And that's how you become someone unrecognizable. Not because life was easy, but because you turned your hardest moments into your greatest drive. There comes a point where words stop working. You've explained yourself, justified your choices, promised again and again that you're going to change, going to improve, going to finally get serious. And what happened? The people around you heard you, nodded, maybe even encouraged you. But deep down, they didn't really believe. Why? Because words are cheap. Promises are cheap. Talk without proof is just noise. And if you're honest, you've wasted too much energy explaining instead of producing. This is the turning point. Stop explaining. Start showing. Not because you need to impress anyone, but because your energy belongs in results, not in arguments. Think about how much time you've spent defending your intentions instead of building your evidence. Hours wasted telling people why you haven't made progress yet. Conversations rehearsed in your head, justifying why you're still the same. That time could have been invested in work, in practice, in doing. Real transformation doesn't announce itself with a press release. It reveals itself quietly at first. Waking up earlier, completing the workout, following through on the commitment, step by step. Your results accumulate until they become undeniable. And by then, you don't need to explain a thing. Your life speaks louder than any justification ever could. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your urge to explain is a form of insecurity. It's a way of seeking validation, a way of begging people to understand your vision. But understand this, not everyone will get it. Some people don't have your perspective. Some people are too invested in the old version of you to believe in the new one. And that's okay. They don't need to get it. You don't owe them your explanations. You owe yourself your evolution. Imagine this scenario. You walk into a room full of people who used to doubt you. Instead of arguing, you simply move differently. Your energy is sharper. Your discipline is evident. They can see the change in your posture, your choices, your results. That silent proof is far more powerful than any speech you could have delivered. People can debate your words, but they can't debate your consistency. This is why you must become obsessed with execution. Stop telling the world what you're about to do. Stop giving daily updates on your goals. Stop defending why you haven't made it yet. Just work. Let your results be the only language you speak. That language is universal. Everyone understands results. Here's a practical shift. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause. Ask, would my time be better spent proving this instead? 99 times out of 100, the answer is yes. Instead of crafting a defense, craft evidence. Instead of posting about your plans, stack small wins until they can't be ignored. Instead of begging for understanding, build progress that speaks for itself. Think of it like this. If you're climbing a mountain, you don't stop every few minutes to announce how far you've gone. You keep climbing, and when you reach the peak, the view is proof. That's how life works too. The journey requires silence. The summit makes the statement. Some will resist this. They'll say, but I want people to know I'm serious. I want them to understand my struggle. Here's the hard truth. The world doesn't reward explanations. It rewards demonstration. Your boss won't promote you because you explained how hard you're trying. They'll promote you because results show. Your body won't transform because you explained why you've been too tired to work out. It'll transform because you actually did the workouts. Your goals won't manifest because you defended them in conversation. They'll manifest because you put in the sweat. And here's what happens when you embrace this mindset. You conserve your energy. Every ounce of time you used to spend convincing others, you now spend building yourself. That shift alone accelerates your progress. Suddenly, you're not drained from arguments. You're fueled by action. And the irony is, when the results show, the same people who doubted you will ask how you did it. By then, you won't even feel the need to explain. You'll just keep moving. Picture this. You're training in silence. No one sees the early mornings, the missed parties, the quiet discipline. At first, it feels lonely. You wonder if it's worth it. But then, weeks later, you start to notice. Your body feels stronger. Your mind feels sharper. Your life feels lighter. That momentum builds until people notice. They ask questions. They whisper about how much you've changed. And all you did was keep your head down and work. That's how transformation becomes unarguable. That's how you stop wasting energy trying to be understood. That's how you step into power without asking for permission. Your silence is your strategy. Your results are your proof. From this point forward, let your mantra be simple. Less talk, more action. Every time you want to post about your goals, remind yourself, results will speak louder. Every time you want to explain why you're changing, remind yourself, time will reveal it. Every time you want to argue with a critic, remind yourself, the work is your only answer. Because here's the reality. While others are busy explaining, you'll be busy executing. While others are crafting excuses, you'll be crafting results. While others are shouting for attention, you'll be building a life so undeniable that attention follows you naturally. That's how you become unrecognizable. Not by convincing the world, but by transforming yourself so deeply that the world has no choice but to see it. The spotlight feels good. Applause feels good. Recognition feels good. But here's the raw truth. None of those things are guaranteed. And if you depend on them, you'll never last. Growth doesn't happen on stage. Growth happens in the shadows, in the silence, when nobody cares, when nobody notices, when the room is empty and it's just you and the grind. The applause fades quickly, but discipline in silence builds a foundation that can't be shaken. Think back to the times you quit. Was it really because the goal wasn't worth it? Or was it because no one was watching? No one was clapping? No one was validating your effort? That's where most people fall apart. They're motivated when there's praise. They're consistent when others are watching. But the moment attention disappears, their effort evaporates. That's not transformation. That's performance. And you're not here to perform. You're here to rebuild yourself from the inside out. This is the test. Can you keep your standard high when no one claps? Can you get up early when nobody will congratulate you for it? Can you push through the workout when nobody is counting your reps? Can you study, write, create, work, practice when nobody is asking how it's going? The answer to those questions determines who you're becoming, because the unrecognizable version of you isn't built in the light. It's forged in the dark. Imagine a craftsman in a workshop. The world doesn't see the hours they spend shaping, sanding, carving, adjusting. All they see is the final masterpiece. You are that craftsman, right now. You're shaping your life behind the scenes. It won't look impressive at first. People may not notice. But every repetition, every quiet choice, every hour of consistency is a stroke on the masterpiece of your future. And here's the key. Consistency in silence builds confidence louder than any applause ever could. Because you don't need someone else's validation when you've already proven it to yourself in private. That's the kind of strength nobody can take from you. Let's get practical. If you're building new habits, create a system where results are tracked for your eyes only. A notebook, a calendar, a habit tracker. Every day you show up, put a mark down. Watch the streak grow. Don't post about it. Don't brag about it. Let the marks accumulate until the evidence becomes undeniable. When you see 20 check marks in a row, you won't need anyone's applause. You'll already know you're capable. And yes, it will feel lonely sometimes. The silence will be heavy. You'll wonder if it's worth it. But remember, this is where most people quit. They can't handle being unrecognized. They confuse lack of attention with lack of progress. Don't make that mistake. Lack of applause does not equal lack of growth. Silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, silence is often the soil where the deepest roots are growing. Picture a seed underground. No one sees it. No one praises it. For weeks, it looks like nothing's happening. But in that hidden space, transformation is taking place. Roots are forming. Strength is being built. And when it finally breaks through the surface, everyone calls it sudden growth. But you know the truth. The work was happening all along, just unseen. That's exactly how your transformation works. Here's a drill. For the next 30 days, commit to a routine that nobody else knows about. Don't announce it. Don't share it. Just do it. Whether it's waking up earlier, journaling daily, exercising, reading, meditating. Pick one thing and do it in silence. Track it for yourself. After 30 days, look back at the proof. You'll feel a quiet pride stronger than any compliment. And when you step into environments where people haven't seen you for a while, they'll notice. They won't know exactly what changed. They'll just sense the energy, the confidence, the discipline radiating from you. That's when the silent work shows itself. That's when you realize you don't need applause, because the results already speak. Understand this. If you only work when people are watching, you're building a fragile identity. The moment the attention fades, you collapse. But if you learn to thrive in the quiet, to grind when nobody cares, to hold yourself accountable without witnesses, that identity is unbreakable. That's the kind of foundation that makes you unstoppable. This is what separates those who dabble from those who transform. Dabblers chase applause. Transformers chase consistency. Dabblers post about their goals for validation. Transformers keep their goals private and let the results do the talking. Dabblers quit when nobody notices. Transformers double down in silence. Which one are you choosing to be? And here's the irony. When you finally do emerge with undeniable results, people will think it happened overnight. They'll say, "You changed so fast," not realizing how many silent nights built that change. They'll see the glow, but not the grind. They'll see the results, but not the repetitions. And that's fine. Let them be surprised. You'll know the truth. You earned it in silence. So embrace the quiet. Stop needing claps. Stop waiting for recognition. Every day you show up when nobody cares, you're proving something far more valuable than applause. You're proving to yourself that you are serious, that you are disciplined, that you are becoming unrecognizable, not for attention, but for yourself. That's the real reward. Not likes, not claps, not cheers. The reward is becoming someone who doesn't break when the world is silent. Someone who knows their own strength without needing confirmation. Someone who is unstoppable because their foundation was built in the dark. Time. It slips away silently, and yet it's the most valuable resource you'll ever own. You treat money like it matters. You notice every bill spent, every paycheck earned. But time? You let hours dissolve into distraction without realizing that each one is priceless. Here's the truth most people ignore. Your life is nothing more than the collection of your hours. How you spend your time is how you spend your life. And if you don't take control of it now, you'll wake up one day wondering where it all went. Think about yesterday. How much of it did you actually invest in building the life you want? And how much of it was stolen by scrolling, by other people's demands, by habits that don't matter? That's not just lost time, that's lost life. Every yes you gave to distraction was a no to your future. And unless you start guarding your hours like treasure, you'll keep giving your best energy to the wrong things. Time doesn't ask for permission to pass. It doesn't stop for you, doesn't pause when you procrastinate, doesn't wait until you're ready. It just moves, minute by minute, carrying your future further away or pulling it closer, depending on what you do with it. And here's the blunt truth. You're not too busy. You're too distracted. That's why you feel stuck. That's why you feel behind. It's not that there aren't enough hours in the day. It's that too many of them are being wasted. Picture your day like a bank account. You get 24 deposits every morning, 24 golden hours. You decide how to spend them carelessly, and they're gone forever. Spend them with intention, and they multiply into growth, into progress, into transformation. That's why protecting your time isn't optional, it's survival. So where do you begin? Start by tracking your hours with ruthless honesty. For 1 week, write down exactly how you spend your time. You'll be shocked. You'll notice hours swallowed by your phone. You'll notice energy drained by conversations that didn't matter. You'll notice evenings lost to mindless entertainment. The awareness alone will sting, but that sting is the beginning of change. Next, cut the thieves. Time thieves hide in plain sight. Pointless scrolling, gossip, obligations you don't care about, distractions disguised as urgent. Every time you cut one, you reclaim life. It might feel small, but add it up. 20 minutes here, an hour there, and suddenly you've freed enough time to build something meaningful. That's how transformation accelerates, not by adding more hours, but by reclaiming the ones you've been wasting. And yes, this will require saying no more often. No to the friend who wants to Just hang out when you know it's a drain. No to the late-night binge that leaves you foggy in the morning. No to the endless notifications that demand your attention. Every no to distraction is a yes to your purpose. But it's not just about cutting. It's about choosing. What will you do with the time you reclaim? Don't just fill it with busy work. Fill it with actions that actually build your future. Study a skill. Train your body. Create something tangible. Work on your vision. Even rest intentionally. Rest that refuels you, not rest that numbs you. That's how you convert hours into momentum. Here's a practical drill. Every night, write down the 3 most important actions for the next day. Only 3. The next morning, attack them before anything else. Don't open your phone. Don't get lost in noise. Finish those 3. And you've already won the day. You've proven that your time belongs to you, not to distraction. Understand this. Wasted time compounds, just like invested time does. A wasted hour today becomes a wasted habit tomorrow, but an invested hour today becomes confidence tomorrow. That's why you must treat your hours with urgency. Everyone matters. Everyone counts. Everyone is either building you or breaking you. Visualize your future self a year from now. Are they proud of how you spent your hours? Or are they frustrated that you kept handing them away carelessly? That vision should haunt you into discipline. Because the future isn't random. It's the accumulation of your minutes. And don't tell yourself you'll fix it someday. Someday doesn't exist. Someday is the graveyard of dreams. The only time you ever actually hold in your hands is today. Not next week. Not next year. Today. And if you don't master today, you'll never master tomorrow. Here's the uncomfortable cost. People will notice the shift. When you start protecting your time, some will call you distant. Some will call you selfish. But you'll know the truth. You're not pulling away from life. You're finally stepping into it. You're not rejecting people. You're rejecting waste. You're not running out of time. You're reclaiming it. This is the mindset of people who build lives that others can't ignore. They don't let the world dictate their schedule. They don't drift through days hoping things change. They lead their hours like generals lead an army. Every minute is deployed with purpose, and that discipline makes them unstoppable. So, take back your time like your life depends on it, because it does. Guard your mornings, protect your evenings, cut the noise, focus on what matters. And when the distractions scream, remember this. Every wasted hour is a piece of your life you'll never get back. But every invested hour is a brick in the foundation of the future you're building. Do it now, not tomorrow, not eventually. Now. Because if you don't, time will keep moving, and it will carry the old version of you forward, stuck, distracted, unrecognizable only in regret. But if you do, if you start today, your hours will transform into momentum, your days into progress, and your life into something so powerful, you'll barely recognize yourself. Change. People talk about it like it's some slow, mysterious force, something that creeps in over years of waiting, of inching forward, of hoping one day life feels different. But that belief is a trap. It convinces you to keep postponing action, to keep saying, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start when things settle down. I'll start when I feel ready. And while you wait, nothing happens. Weeks pass, then months, then years. The mirror looks the same. Your habits feel the same. Your results haven't shifted. Not because you couldn't change, but because you kept telling yourself it had to take forever. Here's the truth. Change doesn't need decades. Change doesn't require waiting for the stars to align. Change can be immediate, sharp, radical, if you decide it will be. You can flip your entire direction in a single day. No, you won't reach every goal in 24 hours, but you can transform the trajectory of your life in an instant. That's how powerful your choices are. Think about it like steering a ship. A 1-degree shift doesn't look like much at first, but sail long enough on that new angle, and you end up in a completely different ocean. That one decision, today, not later, sets you on a path that transforms everything. The tragedy is most people never make the decision with full weight. They dabble. They say, "I'll try," but still cling to old habits. They dip one foot in the water while keeping the other on shore. That's why their change feels slow, fragile, inconsistent. They haven't gone all in. You've been conditioned to believe growth must crawl. But look back at your life. How quickly did things shift when you finally committed? Maybe you had a health scare that made you change overnight. Maybe heartbreak pushed you into bold independence. Maybe a financial struggle forced you to hustle with intensity. Growth accelerated the moment you stopped negotiating with your old self. That speed wasn't an accident. It was always available. You just hadn't chosen it before. So let's cut through the excuses. You don't need more time. You don't need more information. You don't need to find yourself first. You already know what's been holding you back. You already know the habits that keep you average. You already know the distractions that drain you. The only thing missing is urgency. And urgency doesn't come from outside. It's a decision. Here's a drill. Give yourself one full day of absolute commitment. Not half effort, not dabbling. One day where you treat every hour like it matters, where you keep every promise to yourself, where you eliminate every distraction. Wake up early, train hard, work with focus. Say no to anything that pulls you away. Finish what you start. Do this for one day, and you'll feel the shift. Your energy will spike, your confidence will rise, and you'll realize change isn't a future dream. It's a present possibility. Once you taste that momentum, you'll want more. That's the addictive nature of progress. It feeds itself. One disciplined day leads to another, then another, and soon, you're living with a standard that makes your old excuses impossible to believe. People will ask, "How did you change so fast?" And you'll know the answer. They're still waiting for permission, while you stopped waiting altogether. They're still stuck in maybe, while you stepped into now. Let's get brutally honest. If you don't shift your pace, you'll stay stuck. You'll keep repeating the same year over and over, calling it growth when really it's stagnation. You'll keep wishing for results that never come. And deep down, you'll know the reason wasn't lack of potential. It was lack of urgency. You don't have to live that way. You can prove to yourself, starting right now, that transformation can happen fast. Not by hoping, but by acting. Not by talking, but by building. Not by waiting, but by deciding. That decision, the one you make today, creates a version of you that's unrecognizable from who you were yesterday. Think about the confidence that comes from speed. When you change quickly, your mind can't argue with it. Doubt has no time to creep in. You look back after 3 weeks and barely recognize yourself. Not because life magically transformed, but because you finally stopped dragging your feet. So stop waiting. Stop delaying. Stop protecting your comfort. Your comfort has been killing your progress. Decide now that your change will be fast, fierce, undeniable. Commit with full energy. Keep your promises without negotiation. Move with urgency, as if your life depends on it, because it does. And when you look back, you'll realize something powerful. The distance between who you were and who you are wasn't measured in years. It was measured in the moment you finally decided to go all in. You've reached the point where discipline is no longer optional. It's survival. You've learned how to cut excuses, how to redirect pain into progress, how to protect your time, and how to move in silence. Now comes the part that most people never master: building unstoppable momentum. This is where you stop being someone who starts and stalls, and you become someone who stacks days, weeks, and months of progress until your entire identity shifts. Momentum is the hidden power behind every transformation. It's not about one perfect day. It's about chaining days together until the weight of consistency crushes doubt. Momentum is what makes hard habits feel automatic, what turns effort into rhythm, what transforms discipline into identity. Without momentum, every day feels like starting from scratch. With momentum, each day feels easier, sharper, lighter. That's the difference between struggling and soaring. But here's where most people sabotage themselves. They break their own momentum. One slip turns into a spiral. One missed day turns into a lost week. One failure convinces them to throw everything away. They forget that momentum is fragile at the start. You don't destroy it by stumbling. You destroy it by quitting. Think about pushing a heavy boulder up a hill. At first, it feels impossible. Every step takes everything you've got. But if you keep pushing, the weight shifts. The boulder starts rolling, and suddenly, it moves with its own force. That's momentum. But stop pushing too soon, and it rolls back down, crushing everything you built. That's why you can't afford to start and stop. You must keep pushing until momentum takes over. The secret is to lower the barrier to action. Too often, you set the bar so high that when you miss, you collapse. But momentum doesn't care about perfection. It cares about persistence. If you can't give 100% today, give 40%. But don't give 0. If you can't run 5 miles, walk 2. If you can't study for 3 hours, focus for 30 minutes. The point is to keep the chain unbroken, because once the streak is alive, your mind fights to protect it. Here's a drill. Track your streaks. Every day you follow through. Mark it down. Watch the numbers climb. That visible evidence is momentum in physical form. You'll find yourself pushing harder just to keep the streak alive. Miss once? Fine. Miss twice? Dangerous. Never miss 3 times. That's the rule. Because 3 breaks in a row create a new momentum, downward. And downward momentum destroys progress faster than you realize. Now, let's talk about energy. Momentum isn't just about time. It's about managing energy. When you stack small wins, your energy multiplies. You eat better. You sleep better. You train better. You focus better. Every part of your life reinforces every other part. That's why transformation feels exponential once momentum kicks in, because progress in one area spills into the rest. Picture this. You start waking up early. That small win creates time for exercise. Exercise sharpens your energy for work. Work progress boosts your confidence. Confidence changes the way you carry yourself in relationships. Relationships improve, giving you more support. One win multiplies into 5. That's the compounding effect of momentum. But here's the warning. Momentum cuts both ways. Negative momentum is just as real. Skip the workout today. Eat garbage tomorrow. Sleep poorly the next night. procrastinate on work, lose confidence, feel worse, repeat. That spiral is just as fast, and you've been in it before. The difference now is awareness. You know which way momentum is moving, and you can stop negative cycles earlier than before. The question is, which cycle are you going to feed? Momentum doesn't care who you are. It only cares about your actions. It will serve whoever shows up consistently. Feed it discipline, and it builds you. Feed it excuses, and it buries you. So here's your task. Stop living in stop-and-go patterns. Stop being someone who burns bright for a week and fades. Stop resetting every Monday. Choose to become consistent, not explosive. Choose to build brick by brick, streak by streak, until momentum is carrying you forward so powerfully that stopping feels unnatural. This is how people look back after 21 days and barely recognize themselves. Not because of one giant breakthrough, but because of relentless momentum. Every day stacked, every hour invested, every excuse cut. That accumulation is what makes you unrecognizable. Remember, the hardest part is starting. The second hardest part is continuing when no one notices. But once momentum builds, it becomes your greatest ally. You won't have to force yourself to wake up early. You'll want to. You won't dread discipline. You'll crave it. Because momentum rewires your identity into someone who simply doesn't stop. And that's the identity you're building now. Not a dabbler, not a quitter, not someone who starts and stalls. You're becoming someone unstoppable. Someone who stacks days of progress until the old version of you is left so far behind that you can't even relate to them anymore. So protect your streaks, guard your momentum, keep pushing the boulder until it rolls with its own force. And when it does, you'll realize the truth. Becoming unrecognizable isn't about one big moment. It's about never breaking the chain. By now, you've felt the shift, discipline sharpening, momentum stacking, the old excuses losing their grip. But there's one more layer that separates people who flirt with change from those who fully transform: identity. Because if you keep seeing yourself as the same person you've always been, you'll eventually slide back into the same patterns. Real transformation sticks only when you stop acting like the old version of you is still in charge. Here's the truth. Your habits follow your identity. If you believe you're someone who struggles with consistency, you'll subconsciously sabotage your own streaks. If you believe you're someone who always fails eventually, you'll find a way to prove yourself right. That's why change feels so temporary for most people. They try to build new habits on top of an old identity. It's like trying to install state-of-the-art software on a broken operating system. It won't run. The unrecognizable version of you isn't built by adding tasks. It's built by shifting how you see yourself. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and you start saying, "I am disciplined." You stop saying, "I want to get healthy," and you start saying, "I'm the kind of person who trains daily." You stop saying, "I'm hoping to be consistent," and you start saying, "I don't break promises to myself." The words matter because they shape belief, and belief shapes behavior. Think of someone who quit smoking. If you ask them for a cigarette and they say, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit," that identity is fragile. They still see themselves as a smoker resisting temptation. But if they say, "No thanks, I don't smoke," that's identity. That's permanent. The same principle applies to every area of your life. So ask yourself, how do you describe yourself when no one's listening? Do you speak like the old version or the new one? Because the way you label yourself becomes the ceiling for your growth. Here's the shift you need to make. Act as if the new identity is already yours. Not when you hit the goal, not when you prove it to others. Now, carry yourself like the person you're becoming. Talk like them. Make decisions like them, because your brain will fight to stay consistent with the identity you claim. If you declare you are disciplined, every action you take that contradicts it will feel wrong. That friction will push you back on track. Practical drill. Write down 3 identity statements. Keep them simple, present tense, non-negotiable. For example, I am disciplined. I am focused. I am relentless. Read them every morning. Say them when you're tempted to quit. Use them as a compass. Over time, they won't feel like affirmations. They'll feel like truth. And when they feel like truth, your behavior will naturally align. But don't confuse identity with perfection. The new you isn't flawless. They still miss sometimes, still stumble, still get tired. The difference is, they don't negotiate with weakness. They don't let mistakes rewrite the story. They act in alignment with their standard more often than not. And that consistency compounds. And here's the deeper truth. Identity isn't just about how you see yourself. It's about what you tolerate. The old you tolerated wasted time, toxic habits, excuses, laziness. The new you doesn't. That's the real transformation. When mediocrity feels intolerable, when skipping your commitments feels unnatural, when wasting a day feels painful, that's when you've stepped into a new identity. Think of it like moving to a new country. At first, the language feels foreign, the customs strange, but the longer you live there, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, you wake up and realize you belong here now. That's how identity works. The first few days of discipline feel forced. The first few weeks of saying no feel uncomfortable. But eventually, they become second nature. And when they do, the old you feels foreign. You can't even imagine living like that anymore. The reason this matters so much is because the old version of you is still lurking. If you don't consciously bury that identity, it will creep back the moment life gets hard. You'll hear the whispers, "This isn't who you are. You've never been disciplined. You've always failed." That's why you need to starve the old identity and feed the new one. Every choice is a vote. Every decision is proof. Over time, the votes stack up until the new identity wins. But don't wait for external validation. Don't wait for people to start calling you disciplined or focused or strong. By the time they see it, you should have already known it for months. You don't need their confirmation. You need your own commitment. Here's a vision to hold. Imagine looking in the mirror 3 weeks from now and not recognizing the person staring back. Not because of physical changes, though those will come, but because of the energy, the posture, the confidence, the way they look at themselves with pride instead of doubt. That's the reward for building a new identity. And the beauty of identity is permanence. Once it locks in, it carries you. Habits may waver, motivation may fade, but identity stays. When you truly see yourself as someone who doesn't quit, quitting stops being an option. When you see yourself as someone who values time, wasting hours feels unnatural. When you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, you act disciplined even on bad days. That's the power you're stepping into. So from this moment on, stop talking like the old you. Stop carrying yourself like the old you. Stop excusing yourself like the old you. The old identity had its time. It kept you stuck, kept you small, kept you average. But its chapter is over. This new identity is the one that builds the life you've been craving. Own it, live it, protect it. Because once identity shifts, everything else falls into place. Habits, results, momentum. They all flow naturally from who you believe you are. And when you believe you are unrecognizable, you will be. You've walked through decision, discipline, pain, time, silence, momentum, and identity. Now comes the final piece, sustainability. Because it's not enough to change for a week, or 3 weeks, or even a few months. Real transformation lasts. The goal isn't just to become unrecognizable for a short season. It's to become unrecognizable for good. That means building systems that outlast moods, environments, and circumstances. Here's the first truth you need to accept. Motivation will always fade. No matter how fired up you feel right now, there will come days where you don't care, where your energy is flat, where you want to crawl back into old comfort. Those days are not failure. They're reality. The mistake is believing you need to feel good to keep going. You don't. Systems carry you when motivation disappears. Think of a professional athlete. They don't train only when they feel like it. They train because it's their system. It's non-negotiable. Rain or shine, tired or energized, the system runs. That's why they stay consistent while others burn out. You need to adopt the same mindset. Stop relying on hype. Start relying on structure. Your systems don't have to be complex. In fact, the simpler, the better. A morning routine that grounds you. A set workout time. A weekly review where you track progress. A cutoff hour for screens. These guardrails free you from decision fatigue and protect you when emotions fluctuate. Without them, you'll drift. With them, you'll stay aligned. Next, focus on environment. Willpower is fragile. If your environment is filled with distractions and temptations, eventually you'll break. But if you design your environment for success, discipline becomes easier. Delete the apps that steal your time. Remove the food that ruins your energy. Surround yourself with people who push you higher. Make your environment a reflection of the life you want, not the life you're trying to escape. And don't underestimate accountability. Alone, you're vulnerable. With the right accountability, you're powerful. That doesn't mean announcing your goals to the world. It means finding 1 or 2 people who take growth seriously, who won't let you slide back into weakness, who call you out when you drift. Better yet, hold yourself accountable with visible proof. Track streaks, journal progress, measure outcomes. Numbers don't lie. Here's the hardest truth. The old version of you will always try to return. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, subtly, with whispers. Skip today, it won't matter. You deserve a break. You've done enough. That's the voice of regression. You can't kill it, but you can outvote it. Every disciplined act is a vote for the new you. Every excuse resisted is another nail in the coffin of the old identity. Picture your future self 1 year from now. Do they thank you, or do they resent you? Are they living in momentum, or stuck in the same cycle? That vision should guide you. Because becoming unrecognizable isn't a one-time project. It's a lifelong standard. So what's the final step? It's not flashy. It's not dramatic. It's this. Don't stop. No matter how tired, no matter how tempted, no matter how quiet the progress feels, don't stop. Transformation is built on boring consistency, more than thrilling bursts. Keep stacking days. Keep honoring your systems. Keep protecting your time. Keep acting in line with your new identity. And soon, the transformation becomes permanent. The person you used to be won't just feel far away. They'll feel like a stranger, someone you barely remember, someone who belonged to another life entirely. That's when you know the work lasted. That's when you know you didn't just become unrecognizable. You stayed unrecognizable. This is where you stand now, at the end of excuses, at the end of delay, at the end of the old patterns. You've proven to yourself that 21 days can flip everything. The only question left is, will you keep going? Because if you do, there's no limit. You won't just change your habits. You won't just change your results. You'll change your entire destiny. And the world won't know how you did it so fast. But you'll know. You stopped waiting. You started acting. And you refused to go back. Take a deep breath. Let the pace slow down for a moment. You've just been through a journey that was part challenge, part mirror, part blueprint. And if you stayed with it this far, it's because something in you knows the truth. You are capable of far more than the version of yourself you've been living as. The noise of the world will try to pull you back. Distractions will beg for your attention. Old habits will whisper, reminding you how easy it is to slip. But remember what you've built here. Momentum, identity, discipline. These aren't fragile sparks, they're roots. And if you keep watering them, they'll hold you steady no matter what storms come. Transformation doesn't mean you never stumble again. It means when you stumble, you rise faster. It means your setbacks don't define you. They refine you. It means you no longer live in delay, but in decision. That's how you carry this beyond 21 days, by remembering every choice matters. Look at yourself now, not the surface, but the energy. You've grown sharper, stronger, hungrier. The old version of you feels further away already. Hold on to that feeling. Protect it. Let it shape how you walk into every room, how you face every challenge, how you speak to yourself when no one's listening. Because this isn't the end. It's the ignition. The version of you that once felt impossible is already alive. And if you keep choosing with intention, if you keep protecting your time, if you keep proving through action, your future self will look back and barely recognize the person you used to be.